promise I had it all set up before we started. I was super close. A little better angles, a little more light, Just need more weight on the bottom so it doesn't slide all the time. But, it's coming. It's coming. Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm Nicholas, or Lopik, whichever name you want to go with. And it is my pleasure every Thursday to do a show here on TikTok where I draw cards for anyone that gives me permission to do so. That is sort of the only rule in all of this. You have to give me permission. No reader should be drawing for another person without permission anyway. And so if you would like to get yourself a card on today's show, all you got to do is say in the comments you would like a card. Draw me or anything of that sort. Now, another big thing with this is sometimes the list gets very long. It's very hard for me to actually get down to every single person that's in the show. If it so happens that you can't stick around for the entire show, that's okay. It will be posted on YouTube at a later point and then linked to my Facebook, and I'll try and get links going over here as well too this time. Well, with all that rambled off, let's get started on things. So I've drawn a general card just to kind of kick everything off today. That general card is coming up with number 14, the Self. Self is a unique concept within the structure and the nature of who we are as human beings. Self centers in on discovering the nature of who you are and where you're going and how you're going to operate with it. Oh, it's telling me to do a few more share things, actually. I'll be right back. Yay for dead air for the next minute or two. Dun, 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 dun. Share to the Facebooks. And throw that there. And just because I think I deserve likes too. I like that it landed on 86. That's 14 if you size it down to numerology, or a 5. Just sort of a good roll with it. So, welcome to the show. Hi, Annie. If you want a card, I've got a wide open listing right now. Feel free to throw in a request and I'll absolutely draw for you. I have the Self card up right now as sort of the general card that we're starting with today. Just sort of the elements of coming to discover self and organize self and collect with self. Self is unique. Each of us has a unique perspective and a unique viewpoint and a unique outlook that we use when we're operating ourselves through the world. And so the energy of self is one that is particular to you. Each of us uniquely affected with self. On the plus side, this means that no one can really tell you who you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to be, and where you're supposed to go with that energy. On the downside, it also means that you really can't work with anybody else too specifically to know for sure what you're becoming and developing into and organizing yourself into being. Self is a personal journey. It's discovering your own energy waveform in your own way in your own language. And the language of self is something that I think that bogs down more people than most want to admit. You might have a way of expression that for you makes absolute and perfect sense, but when you're sharing that expression with others, they have to accept it from their self. And if their language, if their understanding, if their collective being is not on that same level and not on that same form, they're not going to hear your words for what they really are. They're going to hear their words from their perspective, your words from their perspective. This is where you start to notice that people misquote, misphrase, or misunderstand others. Because at the core of it, most of us just go back to our default language, our default setting, our own selves, in an attempt to understand the world that's around us. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no error in just focusing in on what you know. In fact, some would argue that there's a certain wisdom that comes along with that. The deeper level of it even comes into being a matter of, shall we say, a willingness to explore with yourself into the world around you. See, each of us has this moment, this perspective, this self, and we get to walk and share an experience of life with it. In that shared reality, the one that we inhabit, the body, the mind, the soul, that union is its first little universe. Then you get the larger shared reality of the whole world around us, the greater collective, the greater energy in the greater form. As we're walking through that, we have to be opened enough to receive new languages and new understandings so that we can continually grow in a greater way and connect with more things. The contrast between the doves and the devil wings on this card really highlights the idea of going both high and low to figure out overall what you actually are and who you are meant to be. The whole nature of this comes into really release your own fire and intensity to create you. Self is your creation. Self is your design. And engage in that flow in any way that you want, so long as it is an open, honest, and free language. Hi, I'm Esmeralda. Lovely to have you on the show. I'll add you up onto the list. If anybody else wants to get a card draw as well, just do what Esmeralda did there. Just throw in a permission down there, throw in a question, throw in anything my way. I have one last thought I want to say about self, but remember, all requests will be honored. And so you'll hear it. Absolutely, you'll hear it. Or it'll be on the recording afterwards on YouTube. So give me a follow, and I'll be able to guide you to where everything's at. It is now 10 o'clock. My last thought with self before we go on with Tarot Thursday. Do you notice the serenity? Do you notice the triangle of lights from the palm to the chest? There is a lot of talk about triangles and pyramids being a means of travel and transit. Figure out how you can find your transit and your travel within your own self. It is all within you. Every answer you need is within you. You just have to be willing to connect with it. So Esmeralda had a question, and I have no more requests after that. Hi, Dylan Lee. If you'd like a card, just give me permission and I'll draw for you. A little more than hello, and I say that because I just want you to know that you're giving me permission to draw you a card. Esmeralda, let's get started. Esmeralda was asking about getting back together. I'm going to scroll back up just real quick and double check the question. Together again. Together again is a beautiful concept, right? And the idea being is that we can reunite, reconnect, and regrow ourselves back into something that we had, something that was familiar and something that we felt like really empowered us. Especially when the Eight of Wands and Fire comes into play here. It's very much in the highlight of, this is my intensity and this is my brilliance to share with the world. When that is lost because you don't have that other part of the brilliance anymore, it can be a bit of a jarring shift and a change. How do you come out and be what you know you are without that catalyst working next to you anymore? My long answer is that you're not yet to the point of being strong enough to glow your way and do your thing and dance your own style. Notice that it's just a solitary creature that we have here looking forward. The reserved posture, the wings, the ability to fly, but that's not a posture of flying. So what is it that's going to release you, Esmeralda, to your next level and to your next evolution so that you can fly appropriately forward with the energy that you want? If that happens, then my only assumption is that you will attract the energy and you'll attract the flow that you're looking for. If you're not, and you're just waiting for someone to come and be that harnessed energy for you, it's not going to trigger the same way. 8 of Wands is usually something initialized through your own intentions, actions, and desires. It's something that you are protecting and nurturing and making bigger and making stronger. It is a continuation in an eternity. Find that power within you and the energy will potentially come back. It may not be, though, the same person. It may not be in the same form. Good luck, Esmeralda. A lot of times this one comes up for transitions and changes. Whatever it is that you're resisting in learning from this experience and this departure, make sure that you're not ignoring it. Engage it, attack it, work through it. You get stronger for it. You don't lose anything for it. Thanks for the support, Dylan. 333, now 340. I got the 333 though, and that makes me happy. 3 is one of my favorite numbers. Dylan, can I draw you a card? Do I have your permission? And if anybody else would like a card at all, I can draw you right after Dylan. You just got to give me permission. I'll be happy to draw for you. Dylan Lee, 703. 703. Dylan Lee coming up with the 6 of Earth. So I ascribe to this one a bit more of a tactful meaning. Tactful in that sometimes you have to be very careful with your thoughts, your plans, and your intentions. And your goals, and your dreams are yours. And it's good to share goals and dreams with the right people that will support it and wrap around it and empower it alongside with you. But there is a risk and there is a danger. If somebody sees you with a great bounty, they may want to take all that fruit for themselves. And so the tools that you use to collect your fruits also have to be the tools that you protect yourself with. It's good to be kind-hearted, absolutely. But you won't notice that a lot of really successful business people are super kind-hearted, or at least not the ones that do quick turnover methods. The reason for this is business itself is a little ruthless. Money is a little ruthless. Sometimes you have to be very direct, very concrete. And this can be hard when somebody wants to give and wants to share. But at the core of it, you got to make sure that you're eating for yourself first. There is nothing shameful. There is nothing wrong in eating for yourself first. Most people, like at the end of the day, most of us know how hungry we actually are. And whether that be hungry for love, hungry for food, hungry for assets, or just hungry for freedom, hungry for time to just do your own thing. We know through our own self exactly what it is that we desire. Others might see that and not understand what exactly it is that we're craving, not unless they communicate. And unfortunately, with Earth cards, you don't always get great communication coming out of it. And so make sure that you're considering how your resources and your stability can be maintained first and foremost. You don't have to threaten them in any way, shape, or form. You just have to assert to them that you're going to hold the space tight. And if they want access, they should ask for it. They should ask or maybe request in offering trade, offering barter, doing something that earns the moment. The more I look at this card, like the four of Pentacles in the Rider Way is the man holding the money next to his chest. This card gives me the same vibe, but there's a huge difference in the posture and the format. This person's holding the control in the other hand, the ability to gather the resources and the ability to protect it. So if you read your own tarot and if you do your own tarot, don't just look at it as Six of Pentacles. Think of it as generosity with the tactful thinking and control of the Four of Pentacles. Combine the two in a small way, and that's where you get the full truth of it. My last big point, pun intended, these big old horns on the top. Horns are quite often, the way they're shaped and where they're angled are supposed to give other meaning as well too to the imagery. When it's wide and broad like that, it's potentially okay for goring, but usually you're doing more of a push, more of a shove, more of a get things back and away from you. So don't be afraid to control your space. Be in charge 100%, Dylan. You're going to get great things out of it. Right on. I love my Capricorns. And yes, you ram people. You guys are usually used to brute force smashes. If you've never watched a video of two rams punching, you absolutely need to. It is so cool. Hi, Aiden's Knowledge. I hope you're still in here. Thanks so much for joining on the show. If you want a card, all you got to do is give me permission and I can draw you a card for sure. No, I am so fond of Capricorns. You guys have a stubbornness and a perseverance and the ability to rise up through challenges in a way that others usually can't match. And that's that self-control that they're talking about here. You will be able to accomplish things that others will not be able to do, and then you can help the others from a different position. Absolutely, Bradley, I'll get you one. Dylan, you can help them from a different position once you've got yourself rightly positioned. But the trick is to get up there first and make it happen. Love Capricorns. One of my personal favorite Earths. I'm a Cancer Gemini weirdo concept. We'll talk about it another day if you ever want to get into it. But I work well with Capricorns because you guys can definitely cut the path. And I've finally gotten smart enough to pay attention. It takes a while, but once you know what you're looking for, you know exactly how to follow properly. Bradley, you're up next. Cam, I'm going to get you on the list here as well. And let's get you both some cards. If you're just joining us, all card requests will be honored. There will be replays on YouTube later on, the whole thing. And always, always free on Thursdays. Thanks so much for coming out and joining me. Let's get Bradley next. Bradley, Six of Swords or Six of Fire? Let me double check one thing. Six of Fire, okay. With this particular energy, what we're seeing is somewhat of the Solomon, King Solomon decision. You've got two adversaries and you need the third-party wisdom and third-party experience to kind of match it all out. The trick on this one is knowing the angle. Annalise, I'll get you on the list, absolutely. The trick, Bradley, is knowing the angle on it. Is it you with others, or is it you with yourself? Both are important, and the concept is roughly the same. It's a question of who's the observer and who are the participants. When you are in the middle of it, when you're in the thick of it, line cooks in the middle of a Sunday brunch where everybody just rolled in from church, or the oil workers when pipe just burst and there's now a release going off. There are so many situations where we just get into an experience of being in the thick of it. And when we're in the thick of it, our concentration is not on the big picture. It is strictly on where the lines are crossing, where the tension is at. This is a critical aspect of being warrior or soldier or masculine authority, because it's about striking through that moment. There's an opposition I got to push through, and that's a subtenet to the push energy, the masculine thrust. But to utilize it properly, you have to understand the broader picture of what's happening around. Both of these individuals, their holds on their swords, they're not power holds. They're designed more for show and posture than they are for actual power. So if we're only focusing on the tension point and seeing two swords crossing, then what we see is conflict, anger, and ire. If we look back, we see instead, no, it's two people needing to express themselves very clearly for what they value, what they believe, and what they hold true. And the feminine nature of observation and big picture conceptualization has to be able to pull back far enough to see them both equally. The equally is the tricky part here, because they're not the same in any way, shape, or form. These people are literally designed to be contrasts of each other, white to black in both dress, skin, hair, sword, all of it. They're designed to be contrasts. So how do you make opposites align? By understanding that you only realize it's opposites because they are to each other. Good, evil, night, day, dualities exist all around us, yes, but they aren't the absolutes of all things. They are just periods in transition. And with a bigger picture concept that this is just a transition happening, you can react not to the conflict, but to the needs of the people. That's the King Solomon approach. I see that there are two people at tension with each other. I want to help them both. How do I make them both realize what's happening in this moment? With the two claiming to be mothers, it was about cutting the child in half so that the real mother would, no, don't hurt my baby, while the false mother would be like, yeah, I get to steal the baby. And it's sometimes using different logic, not fuzzy logic, but negative logic, like approaching the people. One tells you the truth, one tells you a lie, and you have to ask the double negative question to get the truth out of the right person. It's about really working down your methodology so that it's not as participant, but as observer. A little bit of a tricky one. I hope whatever the conflict is, that it's not too severe. And at the core of it, Bradley, remember, everybody has to come out of this a winner in some way. But if everybody loses, that can be the same as everybody winning. Good luck. Cam is up next, then Annalise, and then, yes, there would be potentially a new beginning coming out of this, because sometimes when you get to that tension point, you realize what's best for both parties is to part ways. We're not wrong for each other. We're just different, and better to find something that is for our differences rather than for our similarities. Or this business is good if you stay on that side of the wall and I stay on this side of the wall. And that brings about the new insights that allow people to better function and better operate with one another. Because you're no longer fighting the tension and you're no longer fighting the person. You're fighting the problem and getting that solution. Happy Mom, I'll get you in on the list. And Kylie, I'll got you on the list here as well too. Thanks so much for joining, guys. Cam, next, asking about a job by June. All the jobs, top candidate went to internal. Ooh, corporations are fun for that. We're going to hold off on that one just in case. What I've got coming up is this one. Market is weird right now, and I feel like you need to stand in the exact right spot to get caught, and that's, how do you make good advice come out of that, right? I hate to be doomsaying, and I hate to be negative Nancy, and I hate to be harsh in any way, shape, or form. And I try not to pick on relationships for that exact reason, because it's really easy as a reader. Cam, with the Nine of Cups coming up here, what we see is an image of someone standing in the perfect light to be seen, to be heard, to be understood. In a job aspect, that would be about finding your place that you've got complete satisfaction. Now, with no job, obviously it's not the current situation because you want a job. So it's either a job that you have only known bliss in working before, which for me would be something like Laser Quest or working in kitchens again. For others, it might be more inclined with working with animals, working with those very focused interests that a person has. But if you do not think you are positioned in the right spot, if you're not looking for that light to stand in dark places, you're not going to get yourself out of this, and you're not going to get moved past to the next phase. You have to get yourself reorientated and basically in a spot where you can't be missed, almost tripping on you. And not in a bad way, but in that your presence becomes familiar, and that familiarity turns into longer standing running. Sometimes I've seen this happen in things where you're acting as a volunteer or worse yet, an intern, and you just sort of graduate yourself in. And that is sometimes a way to combat internal postings that always go internal, because they don't want an outsider that they have to teach their social norms to. They want somebody that already knows how the place runs. And that's why a lot of places will switch to internal if they get the chance. It's easier to groom somebody that's already used to the customs there. So on this, as far as outside hires and fresh starts or completely brand new ventures, I don't get that vibe. I get more of the vibe that it's things that you're familiar with or that are familiar with you, and it's places that provide that comfort of being known, seen, observed, satisfied in the placement and the nature of what it is. Good luck tracking that one down, Cam, and just make sure that you keep hitting at all times. It's hard, really hard in this current era to get work. Annalise is up next, then Happy Mom, then Kylie. Yeah, HR especially. If you're Canadian, apply to Shambhala Music Festival. Don't tell them I sent you, because I can't do that. But they usually want HRs every now and again. Hi, and I'll get you on the list for sure. List is about 5 long now, and so if you can't stick around, I totally get it, but give me a follow. I always post the video to YouTube afterwards so that it can always be reviewed afterwards. Back up to Annalise. Annalise, what do we got for you? Annalise coming up with the 10 of air. I like this one for the idea of transference through things. A lot of people get lost in the 10 of Swords being all about depression and destruction, and I've always tried to conceptualize that, because the tarot is supposed to be a procession from 1 to 10, from a numerological standpoint, from beginning to realization that you're at the beginning again. Now, the fact that the 10 of Swords is a depression card is actually a sense of irony, because it's saying that the more knowledge and the more thoughts and the more ideas that you have, the worse off you are. And I can't think of anything more ironic than that. Because this deck translates it from 1 to 10 to 1 to 12 instead, the 10 has a different format. It becomes a window again. It becomes passage. It becomes portal. It becomes realizations that open you up to the next possibility, the next free zone, and the next new you, really. It's like walking through the gate of heaven. And through entering into heaven, you start to realize the energy, form, and bliss that you can hold within your own mind. Your thoughts become a little bit clearer. The sharpness of them becomes much more refined, though. And the ability of a thought to be sharp so that it can actually cut through and get to the next concept, the next realization, the next idea, that is the procession that we want to see with air energy. It empowers and enables someone to fully and completely realize their next understanding. Now, the truth is, life is always on repeat. So we get in numerology 1 to 10, 10 or any other double digit sizes back down to 1, unless it's a sacred number. What are sacred numbers? A lot. You have to memorize them. I'm not there yet, but you can still size them down anyway and still get a hint of what they are. And some numerology, they'll even play with 2 numbers on. So 10, always think of 10 as 10/1. When you think of it as 10/1, it becomes the same concept of the World card, the ending of an entire story so that you can step off into a new story. The conclusion so that new beginnings can come and take their place. The end point of this understanding so I can embrace this new understanding. I've learned all of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Now I'm going to go throw fractions in on it. Or maybe I'm going to throw long division, or maybe trigonometry. Something is going to evolve it from molecular biology to quantum biology. Some level of increase. PhD following the master's, following the degree, diploma, or whichever other setup it is. There is huge progression to be had here. Walk through it and don't look back once you do. This is always about moving forward and never moving backwards. Let's take a look-see at what else we got going on. So I see a few new messages who are absolutely, I'll get you on the list. Annalise with the 10 of air, transformation and movement of the mind into new levels and new evolutions, getting yourself onto the next whole level and the next whole conceptualization. No fear, no doubt, no depression. Release from those things that are otherwise dark and painful. You're on your way. Good luck. Sometimes when I see the one new message, I always want to double check that it's not actually a specific question that comes in on the same topic. And so I'll always be double checking messages. As always, all requests will be honored and replays will be posted on YouTube if you can't make it in. I've got right now, Happy Mom, Kylie. I've got Anna. I've got Hur. Grand morning, Sammy God. Good to see you. No worries, Annalise. Good luck. If it's complex or not quite absorbing, feel free to message me on it. I'm always open to follow up as well too. The realization that a thought is complete is a weird realization, so I'm always happy to get into how we think about thoughts and structure. Happy Mom, is there a new job coming for me before the end of summer? The end of summer being more towards September time, making sure we're all keeping that clear in our heads. Happy Mom, I'm going to go with a soft yes. Why do I say a soft yes? Well, 2 of Pentacles, you usually see fluctuation. In the 2 of Earth, what you see is seeds in hand. So specifically, I think it really comes down to how much seeding you are doing for yourself throughout the spring and throughout the first part of the summer. If you are seeding, if you are putting it out there, if you are engaging, if you are talking, if you're ultimately self-promoting and putting yourself forward, then yes, you will find those jobs, those connections, and those flows. But it does have to come from the energy that you're putting into it and the energy that you're throwing forward. If you do not engage it, it may still just sort of fall into your lap, given the wreath that is laid on this woman's head. But is it better to have the harvest that you designed for yourself? Or is it better to receive a harvest that is of somebody else's choosing? You make the choice ultimately. It is entirely yours to decide what you want to take and how you want to take it. But if you're not vigilant, you may find at times that you're getting stuck with the potatoes of somebody else's garden and not necessarily the things that you want. So, is there a new job coming to you before the end of summer? Probably, but it is also important that you make sure that you plant the seeds and crops that you want and don't just take the seeds of what's going to get stuck your way. Good luck, Happy Mom. That's going to be, honestly, we're just getting out of the spring gardening period now. And I mean that on the spiritual level. If you haven't done the laying of foundation and the laying of groundwork and the laying of the bits that you want to have, there's going to be issues. Summer starts in just over a month, June 20th. And after that, it's all buck wild from there. So if you want to make sure you've got something in the summer, seed hard now. Or better yet, buy somebody else's started plants, because that'll get you even further ahead. I need to do that for strawberries this year, because I totally didn't get on top of it. But I'm also going to be gone for 40 days in the summer, so there's that as well. Kylie, relationship check for my boyfriend Patrick. Let's take a look, see. When you say relationship check, do you mean with my boyfriend, for your boyfriend? There's a lot of potential with that. Let's see what we've got, Kylie. Patrick's my boyfriend for almost over 11 months now. Let's see here. All requests will be honored. I do promise on that. Let me just kind of work my way through here a little bit. Kylie. Okay, I'm going to say net positive. Plans and goals are going to be the key thing here. Like, my thoughts are this. People date. They date for 3 to 6 months casually. Then they get into a serious feeling. And then they keep in a serious feeling for maybe 2 years. And then they get engaged. Engagements can go for forever or not. They can be the next day married because they decided to elope. They could be engaged all the way till they die. You never really know. And this is sort of a consistency, a structure, a plan that you see socially in certain parts of North America. Now, fast forward a little bit to the modern era, and everybody's sort of in their own plan, their own design, and their own format. When we do a relationship check, we would hope to get a card that is about duality, but instead we get a card about the King of Air, about bossiness, about direction, about planning, about setting the course and insisting that this is the course that we're going to take and this is how it's going to play out. Leadership, authority, executive nature. And some really, really like that dynamic in their partner. They want it to be somebody that is constantly on that forward push and forward dynamic. But if they're overwhelming your desires and your dreams with their intentions, then what the heck are you going to do with that, right? So I would caution, not knowing a bigger picture about how the relationship is on the backside, I would caution to look very carefully at how you guys are approaching your plans and how you're approaching your goals. I do think all couples should get together periodically and do the next 6 months planned out, next year, next 3 year, next 5 years. If you have the 6 month to 5 year plan, you've got a way bigger picture of what's going on all around. If you both do a separate plan and share to each other, you get an idea of where you guys are at with your personal goals and how they interlink with each other. If you are looking for married in 3 years, and he's looking for married in 5, it will show up on that paperwork. And then you can start discussing and talking about whether this is really the right approach, whether that long is something you'd be comfortable with, or whether he's trying to make it too quick, too fast, and too intense. These things become realized because you guys are then communicating in a way that's not at each other, but with yourselves, with your own planning, and then giving that idea to the other person. Some people react poorly when this goes down because they feel like they've been trapped in a way. You have to remember that what he's putting down is just his own dreams, his own desires, his own plans. You will matter, so you will show up in those plans and places. But it's about finding sometimes exactly what you're looking for. My gut instinct tells me that he has his head very much on a certain goal and a certain plan in one direction, and you're going to have to go in another direction slightly with it. Do it with the planning. See what happens there. Good luck on that one. Tabitha, I'll get you added onto the list. Lael, did I miss your question from before? Let me scroll up and make sure not. We just did Kylie there. Planning and goal orienting in relationships, always a big thing. However, you are next, and all requests will be honored. Sammy girl. Lael, will I ever know my true self? I don't know who I am right now. That's a good question. I would love to draw a card on that one. I'd love to honestly just do a TikTok live on that one. Identity is a weird thing. And would you look and behold, the very first card that we drew today before everything even started, it's all about the self. So stick around. We can definitely help you out. That's pretty much what I do. No worries, Sparkling. Tabitha, sorry. So Lael's on there and Tabitha's on there. So bear with me a minute here. Hiver, you may have a reading, absolutely. Hiver energy, let's take a quick look-see. Hiver coming up with the Ace of Air. This is all about the seed of idea, the seed of thought. When I think of thoughts, I think of this. We have within us an area, a space, a sphere that we could consider our mindscape. This mindscape and everything that is within it is controlled within ourselves. We shape it, we organize it, and we visualize it in whatever way we are most comfortable with. This mind space, though, is not disconnected from the world. In fact, the whole world influences, touches it, and affects it like the pressure upon an egg. It is in this way our mind absorbs ideas and thoughts from others and nature and the world, and it's in this way that we release thoughts back out as we push from our own mind space and into the rest of the world. There are new thoughts and new ideas and new orders that you need to start arranging for yourself. A way of planning, perhaps, a way of budgeting, a way of controlling things in such a manner that it allows you to initialize this thought appropriately. Start deep within your own thoughts and let it spread out and share with those that you trust to help you around you. Through that care and through that support, you can then see yourself realize this little dream of yours into something far grander, something far wider. Engage in your seed, engage in your mind, and engage in the thoughts of growth, and greater things come through it with you. However, my biggest thing with the Ace of Wands, to always be clear with the thought, to always be direct with the thought, to always be firm with the thought. Don't just let yourself get slipped up because somebody else says no. Let it absorb in, grow around, and work with. Good luck, Ivan. Sammy girl. Will Roy's relationship last with his current girlfriend? Sammy girl, this is a trick question. Why? Because you're not asking about you. You're asking about somebody else. And that's always a tricky walk, right? Because we're here to read your energies. We're not really here to read others. I'll read your dynamic around it. And if you're okay with that, I'll scroll down and just double check that that's all good to go there. If it's somebody else's comment, then I'm just going to do it anyway. But remember, your question should always be towards you. If it flows, Lael, accept it. At the core of it, everything I do is wisdom from my own experiences. I am reflecting this through the languages that I know to speak because it's what I've suffered. If what I speak makes sense, let it sit, let it seed, let it do its own thing. And the observer learns best simply through watching what moves around others. Sammy girl, do not wait for this relationship to end. Do not hang around this guy. At the core of it, you feel like Roy has been playing manipulator games with you anyway. Why would you wait around and hang around for things that you know aren't in your best interest? Don't let your emotions get swept up in somebody that's not going to respect your emotions. Make sure that you are doing whatever you can, Sammy girl, to keep other people from having control over you as much as possible. Roy tends to play on the emotional games and focuses, and with you that has turned into a form of manipulation and control. So whatever you do, make sure you are not allowing him to have that negative power over you ever again. If he wants to come back around because he's lonely and needs a warm spot, that's a problem. Be careful. Be smart. Lael, let's get into this. I think it's you up next. Wait, no, I think I'm missing Ayana. I missed Ayana. I'm so sorry, Ayana. Ayana. And then I'll get on to Lael there. Ayana. Ayana. One more. Okay. Ayana about being on the mark, being on the target. See, I have a problem because I can't usually remember what I do from reading week to week. And like last week's Thursday, I think we did about 122 cards. And like we're already about a dozen in on this week. So as you can imagine, it's hard to remember the progression over time. I have to refer a little bit back if this is going to come up to our last reading and staying on target and staying on focus, Ayana. Keep your eyes on the prize, keep your eyes on what's in front of you, and make sure that you are fixated on it. If you are keeping yourself not on target, but on the swirl of the moment, the emotions, the rushes, the highs, the falls, you're going to miss your chance. Timing might be key with this. Accuracy, focus, and timing are usually what we see swirl up when it comes to this card, and needing to make sure that you're actually orienting the moment based upon what is immediately there. It's like the little shooter games at the festivals or fairs, and somebody pops out of a window. You know it's going to be that window. You know it's worth 500 points. You know if you miss it, you don't win the stuffy. And so it becomes that matter of ignoring the other distractions so that you can focus on what is the right prize and not letting things get off track and get off sort there. Anna, keep your eyes on the prize, time everything right, do it right. Make sure that you are focusing on the right goal. Lael, identity is weird. Identity is weird. At the core of it, we all have a perspective individual to ourselves. And nobody has your perspective, because for them to have that, they'd have to be you. Even twins don't have the same perspective. Twins have different unique outlooks and flows and everything else. And so what you got to remember, Lael, is there is no other. There is no other you. Nothing that you can model you from. You will have to design. The down to that is it means that you're operating a little bit blindly, and you're aware now of the masked nature of living life, and you're not comfortable with the fact that you're constantly going through these masks. These changes of shape and these changes of image, they're making you feel as though you have been living a blind life. And whether there's a moral or guilt concern that's coming up with that doesn't really matter. You're aware of it. That awareness ultimately is a portion of true self. It is my theory that each of us are seeds of a divine consciousness. That divine consciousness relates all the way back to whatever you want to call it. Tao for the Taoists, God for the Christians, Allah for the Muslims, Jehovah for the I believe it's Jehovah for the Jews, but don't quote me on that one, because sometimes I get a little bit out to lunch with who comes from where. The core of it, though, I call it Bob. I like Bob. Bob is easy. Bob is everything. Bob is nothing. The universe says hi. Bob says hi. Bob helps me to understand that the universe is not black and white, but shades of experience and understanding. Each of us is going through connecting with a portion of that bigger consciousness. And as we grow and as we develop, we then start to become more synchronized with the energies and the flows, and we become an avatar of that true self. That doesn't make any one of us gods, quotation marks. It makes all of us gods to a certain extent. And that's when you start getting into the deeper alchemy of your mind, the matter, and the world around you. You've taken the first step, and that's scary, but you did it right. You've taken off the mask and acknowledged the blindness. Now you just have to decide, what is it that you really do value? What is so exciting to you that you would remove your blindfold and look at it forever? And once you have an idea of what you would want to put all that focus and energy into, that's when you can start building yourself around it. Some people never find it. Some people are wanderers forever, but not all who wander are lost. Typically, the wanderers are the wisest amongst us. We just don't want to listen to them because they don't appear in a lifestyle that we want to be in ourselves. And that's the problem. Everyone's too afraid to be the observer. Trust yourself, trust your process, trust what you're doing. You are on the right course. Pick the value or the virtue that means the most. You will sometimes end up picking 3 or 4 or 5 over the course of your lifetime. My first value is hope. Always hope first. And then I have views that come after that. Thank you all very much for joining us today. I've got 11 new messages down before. I'm going to make my way down too slowly. All requests will be honored. All requests will be honored 100% of the time. And a replay will be posted after on YouTube, just to make sure nobody gets missed. Also, I'm going to ask you guys for a little bit of help. I hear a little theory that if it goes up to 20,000 likes, then it will start to show up on the For You page. And not saying I want to sneak my way into the greater world, but I want to cause some havoc. So with those of you that are here, if you're down, give it a shot. If not, pop them back, catch your replay. Tabitha, you're up next. Let's get you in here. Tabitha. Tabitha coming up with the hero card. I always run on a mix with this one because I never know if I should identify you as the hero or if I should identify the need for hero. It's conceptually the individual or the energy form that sees the change needed and is going to just push right through it. They're going to make sure that change happens now because it is just ethical. It is just moral. It's simply correct. And so through this energy, Tabitha, someone starts to manifest a transformative change and flows all around them. They catalyze other people and sometimes push them in this way that it frightens them, it unrests them, it unsettles them. Why? Because they're being challenged to be that next better form. It brings out the jealousy, it brings out the rage, it brings out the anger. If this is your energy that you're starting to identify with, you got to keep pushing through it. We need bright torch carriers. We need those that are going to demonstrate to others the better way to be. If it's someone that you're looking for, I have some bad news. The current culture tends to kill heroes. Heroism is not supported. And that's why those with heroic intent, when they get into the deeper society, usually find themselves being squashed and destroyed by it. A lot of them in their 20s too. And if you are in 20s or in 30s, you'll remember there's a huge difference in how we think and operate between these two eras. A lot of us were the heroes of our dreams in our teenage years and our early 20s. Somewhere along the line, that instinct that we can bring about great change and transformation starts to shift. Don't lose that identity. If you can't remember being the hero in your own dreams and the hero for your own self, you're not likely to accept the hero in anybody else either. But if you can remember where you could pick up the sword and pick the fight as necessary, and where you could push through the moment because you perceived a need for something greater and something more powerful, that's where you start to get the next evolution of yourself. Rise to the challenge. Through that rise and through that engagement of it, you get evolved to a new level. The curved back horns on this one indicating that you should be ready to bash through with as much fierceness as you can. I will also point out that it's the ascended form of the fire sign. This is willpower expressed purely. It is expressed to its fullest completion. The hero is not just the 10 of fire carrying all the weight of life, but it is now sword and shield and armor and soul. Fire burns and takes constantly of whatever it is on top. You too have to feel allowed and inclined to take whatever it is that you want. Don't get locked down into thinking that you can only take a little. You can take a lot. Hamangi. Have a wonderful day, Tabitha. Thanks so much for joining the show. Hamangi, let's get you a card here. I see some posts from Lael here. You don't have to let go of the current identity. You just have to integrate it with you. Like, gosh, if I told you some of the stories about when I was a teenager, holy hell, holy hell. Holy hell. And I can only imagine what some of the people that knew me as a child, seeing me now doing these things, going, so you're Jesus now for sure? There'd be a whole slew of that going on if any of them thought that they could pick the fight. And I do not live in shame of the evolutions I went through. Each one was a perspective telling myself who I was becoming. And I can either be ashamed of my development or I can acknowledge that it's part of my finite process. I'm only here for 100 years. I don't have time to be ashamed. We're moving on to, sorry, my apologies. It wasn't Hyman, it was Hamangi, I think. I've got you the intuition card. Intuition's a weird concept for some people. Like the whole idea that you are wired to feel vibrations and energies and flows. And for some people, it's very unsettling because it creates this idea of invisible power. Intuition is power, but it's not what I would call invisible. I've never been 100% sure if the true nature of intuition is just subconscious awareness. People all have certain mannerisms that they share, and a lot of readers can tell you just from your body language what you ate that day and how you're feeling about it. But there are deeper levels of it, deeper things that occur that sometimes just defy explanation. You experience a presence, and the presence is profound, concise, and clear, and you're not sure what to do about it. The rational mind tells you that it's an imagination, but your spiritual mind, your soul tells you that that was a moment of intuition. And when we reach these moments, when we find these moments, they become quite often for us the foundation upon which our spiritual and then our religious understandings are built. The pros of that is when it's a personal experience, it's untouchable. No one can take it away from you. You know what you experienced. The downside to it is a personal experience, and so sharing of these energies are rare, kind of. Go to an evangelical church and watch them do a worship service and tell me how uncommon it really is, but for the most part, people don't like reflecting and feeling other people's energy, and so they choose to kind of be in a small case of denial around it. I strongly encourage engaging other people's energies when you can. The ugly of it, intuition is a black hole that if you let yourself absorb into, you get lost forgetting the physical world. At the end of the day, sticks and stones will still break your bones. It doesn't matter how much you understand of the greater concept of life and reality. We are attached to the three-dimensional body form now, and so whatever your mind perspective is structured from, it's still going to be through this experience until it is not. Now, that gets into concepts of past life, afterlife, and all that, which is a whole different level for another day. But you trust your own experiences that tell you what that's going to be like. If your intuition tells you it's there, it's there. If you can't find moments to connect with, then that's fine. But you may have to recognize that others do function with that passion and faith because of those experiences. Don't be afraid to have them too. No worries though. Very happy to help out and do what I can. We got Des coming up here. If you're just joining us, haven't gotten a card, feel free to throw in a request. All requests are honored 100% of the time because we want to make sure we're doing it for everybody. And a replay will be posted on YouTube after the fact. I am also on Facebook, Lopic Magic House. I do also do private readings. I do also do party readings. I will teach you how to tell tarot. To be honest, I'd rather teach people. And so my subscriptions are going to be a lot of that. I'm going to teach as much tarot as I can on my subscription lives when possible. Dees and Falcone. I'll get you two up here next. Dees, let's see what we got. 9-month relationship, healthy check, and guidance. So this is what people do now, eh? Health checks on relationships. I can get behind on it, honestly. I can get behind on it. It's nicer when they give me easier cards to work with, but I can get behind on it. What is a relationship? It is an idea and concept. Hi, time, space. Stick around, I'll get you on third on the list. So, Dees, what is the conceptualization of a relationship, right? Some people, when they get into it, they have it very, very firmly laid out. And I'm not sure if you heard my rant about that before, but you get the 3 to 6 months of casual dating, then the 2 years of real exclusive dating, and then you get proposed, and then you never know how long you're going to be engaged for. It kind of comes down to how each individual feels. A lot of people believe that these are the customs, these are the social norms. They want their proposal to be magnificent, special, and in a certain format. And they create these large thoughts around how it is to be played out. How you dream and express this is important. I do believe that you and the partner are in the right vein for each other because this is a major arcana card, and that usually comes with the weight of it is a good relationship and a good flow to be a part of. But thought is easily affected. And so and I'm being a little bit tiptoey on this because I never want to do damage to a relationship, but my gut tells me that there is something that you are measuring and deciding on that you're not 100% confident with. And I have to introduce the thought of compromise into the mix. You notice in the background the lit mask and the dark mask, the night and the day. And we kind of stand in between the two and work between the two where possible. There's the pyramid shape and triangle shapes going on in the back as well. That's usually travel, transit, transformation. The only way to transform a relationship is with the power of compromise. That's a catch though, because you can compromise yourself into a bad way and potentially make yourself emotionally unwell because you've compromised too far. So if there is something that is going through that weighing, evaluation, trying to decide if it is worth the effort or not, remember that after a certain amount of time, you will be attached and there will be no going back. So if you don't set yourself a hard limit on how far you'll go, you might end up somewhere that you don't really intend to be. Measure, evaluate, be careful. Talk about compromise. Share 5-year plans. Make sure that you're really measuring out. And for yourself, don't do this in front of your partner if you can, but for yourself, write down the 15 qualities of the perfect idealized partner, and then rate them on a scale of 1 to 15 of importance. Do the physical work so that you can see where this person measures up. I have a thought is something that I say a lot in my day-to-day life. And the subtext that I'm usually saying when I say it is, I think you're doing something wrong. I think you're making a mistake. I think there's something very bad here. But if I say this is wrong, people hear authority in the voice and they panic. If I say, I have a thought, and people hear a question, they're more likely to respond to me. It's because of that I have this thought. Thought itself is a catchword for me. And I am sorry that it kind of came up and caught you today. But with that in mind and coming from this perspective, I have to advise. Really measure deeply whether it is what you are looking for. Falcone will be up next, then time, space. Falcone General. General reading. 7 of Swords coming up for you. Tactics and knowledge. I love the closed book on this, keeping the knowledge hidden, keeping the knowledge discreet, keeping the knowledge back. Cassandra, Stuart, you will both get cards here as well. Absolutely, yep. I'm glad it works, Des. I am sorry it is kind of what it is. I do private readings as well too. My love reading methodology, it comes down to knowing where you're at emotionally, where your partner's at emotionally, and where you are developing to. Relationships are not the be-all and end-all of physical existence. They're the be-all and end-all of physical life because life has to procreate. But a soul doesn't need to procreate in that fashion, and so it's not the reason for life. So keep that in mind as you're kind of looking through all of it. What is it that you're going to find helps you the best in becoming your best self? What are you evolving to emotionally? You're gonna be brilliant. You're gonna be amazing, but it's that evolution point and pushing through it. Falcone with the 7 of Air, as I get distracted. The closed book usually relates to a forbidden knowledge or hidden knowledge or keeping power within your own control. I love that dynamic, honestly, because at the core of it, we each often let our power become wild. We get absorbed and we swing it around and we feel that strength, we feel that power. And at some point we have to learn to hold back on the full force that we're using and use it carefully. As such, I take this one to be a meaning of a tactical-minded person, a trainee, or a trainer that has worked through the understanding and now knows these small, subtle ways to be the best of what they are doing. If you It's fantastic. It lays you out to be in a process of being at your highest evolution and highest point. You are capable, skilled, and a little bit more snaky than some might like, but you are so capable with it. And that's all we could aspire to be, experts within our fields. If it's somebody else, there could be a problem. Because this person may have the skill and the tactic and the knowledge, but that means that they're only going to offer you what they think that you need. Now, some regard this as being a little bit of a thief, stingy, robbing you or keeping you from your assets and your potential. From their perspective, you are a potential adversary, potential competitor in some long-term venture. And so to keep you diminished is in their best interest, and it's in their best control. Around all of this card comes back that concept of control. And if you cannot control it 100%, then you just have to safeguard it in a way that nobody else can control it instead of you. In the Rider Waite, the Seven of Swords becomes a thief card. And a thief is also about control. The ability to control the moment and take from you what they want, rather than just allowing you to continue with what you have. Make sure that you are mindful, vigilant, and never letting anyone overwhelm your walls and take from you what is yours, 100% yours. Time, space. Happy to be here too. Looking for guidance on location. Where should you be living? Let's see what we got here. Location is easier on Rider Waite cards because you get a lot of landscapes and pictures in the background. And so an intuitive reader has a really easy time with questions like that because they'll see it in the background. These cards don't give us a lot of that background. They give us vibe, they give us numbers, and they give us element. This one here is the six of water. Six of water in Rider Waite is heavy on the rivers, streams, fjords. You get a lot of like Louisiana or other marshland kind of vibes sometimes from it. I always get with it more of a refugee or an escaping status, which is sometimes a little bit harsh, but this one kind of plays into that too. The offered hand, offered support, something different that you haven't had before and have to have the invite into, somewhere that you have to be welcomed. Now, the concept of being welcomed into a space is common. Every city's got a warming community, absolutely. But there's more to it than that. For example, the Yukon Territory is welcoming in the people, but you have to be welcoming in yourself because otherwise the colds and the dark and everything else is going to destroy you. There are places in BC that if you don't really fit the land will reject you. I've heard that these places exist around the United States as well too, and I'm looking forward to visiting them someday. And it's my theory that they probably exist worldwide. There are certain areas that your energy just acclimatizes to. But does it acclimatize because you were made for there? Or does it acclimatize because you were embraced there? I think the latter. Look for a place where you are embraced firmly, wholly, and entirely. Whether it be because of common friends, family, or something else there that makes it so that you've got that energy and that flow coming around you. That way you know it's actually meant for you because they made it for you. And that element of being fully and wholly invited in has to play out for it. There's a lot of woundage that sometimes comes with that card. So with the heart, be gentle, be forgiving, be loving, be compassionate. This isn't about running away from anything, and it can't be about running away from anything. It has to be about running to you if we're going to run it all. Good luck, time, space. Cassandra, let's get you next. I've got 5 new messages at the bottom. I'll check after Cassandra. All requests will be honored. Replay will be on YouTube after. Goal is 20,000 likes so that I can creep into the For You page and absolutely devastate every normal human being on the planet. Because, well, what's more fun than slow annihilation and devastation? Cassandra, the King of Water. Beneficial if you're looking for them or have them. King of Water is usually very mature, very collected, very emotionally intelligent. Their communication factor is top notch. They don't have a problem with expression of themselves. They know what they are in their heart, and they know what they want in their heart. There's often deep mysticism or other form of spiritual nature with them. Men in touch with their feminine side, you could say, and not in a bad way, but more in the you've probably seen the one with the gentleman with the man bun, the big beard, sitting in a tutu with his daughter having a tea party, and yeah, why not? There's nothing wrong with it. There's no error of it. John Cena is doing fantastic in that. Just the most blatant stereotypes, and it's John, so we all kind of just go, "Oh, John," but he's doing something more than we realize sometimes. He's embracing that nature of it. It really is just me, just being me. Now, if not in a relationship and looking for someone, looking to engage with someone, it is a possibility that this is the energy that is going to be coming soon. But Kings of Water do not move quickly. They are slow, they are methodic, they are particular. When they do things, it feels like a love bomb. It's sometimes too extreme and it's sometimes too overwhelming because it's very direct. It's very, this is it. I am this love, and this is what it is for you. If you're ready for it, wonderful. If you're not, just don't panic. Don't panic, don't freak, and don't run away. You can tell them you need more time, more space, and not offend them. You can tell this man that you need time, space, and gentleness, and you won't offend him. That's the miracle of it all, Cassandra. Good things coming down that way, I think. It's going to be wonderful for you. Just make sure that you're allowing it to come in its full way, and don't be afraid of them. Definitely don't be afraid of them. It's raining now in Edmonton. We need this rain a little bit more to the north. My holy altar towards Fort Nelson might be burning, and I would rather that doesn't. And then my future altar towards Fort Mac is also burning, and I don't like that. I can't win whichever way, but the rain is finally coming down, and I'm not going to complain. Stuart, I've got you up next, and I'm just going to take a look-see here. Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, Sense and Spirits. I think we've got Abby as well. We got you guys on the list. Thanks so much for joining us today. Right, so Stuart, quick and general. Quick and general for Stuart. Stuart's getting the fun one. The Two of Water. Generalization of the Two of Cups is really easy because the Two of Cups is not a love card, but that's the Rider Way. This is the Dreams of Gaia. The Two of Cups here very much looks stylized like a love card. It doesn't necessarily have to be, and so that's where you gotta really look towards the imagery to get down to the bare bones of it. On the surface, it looks like a woman kissing a man, comfort and security, possibly a sensual embrace. They're very entwined though. The hair seems to flow in parts straight from one right into the other, and even in the shape of the body, it just seems like it's all almost pressed and morphed into one together. I would take it, and in a general setting say that it's not so much about you and a person, but potentially about the dynamics of masculine and feminine form within ourselves. In that context, it's giving yourself a bit of grace, gentleness, and forgiveness. It's allowing yourself tender. Most of the guys born before 94, 95 don't really have the same concept of tender that the guys born after 95 do. Starting late 90s, early 2000s, there was a strong approach of helicopter parenting and strong involvement. And so tenderness started to take this new form where you tried You attempted, and we're going to acknowledge attempt. And the older generation made fun of the achievement awards, but for a lot of those youngsters, it gave them a sense of feeling like they were acknowledged for their efforts, that what they were contributing to actually mattered. As we've grown older, I think a lot of us don't feel that same acknowledgement sometimes. And so we look for that tenderness of acknowledgement, and we can't receive it from our peers in the same way. And so we come out doing things that are bolder. Some of our brothers have gone to the lesser form of being super angry with themselves and clinking pots and pans and everything else. And it's them looking for that tenderness of acknowledgement. It is what it is. Those of us that can't go to the emotional level to get that acknowledgement, we have to find it in another fashion. And acknowledgement of the emotions, acknowledgement of the feelings, acknowledgement of them alone can sometimes be a really powerful thing. It's not saying that man's got to cry to feel better, but it's saying that man's got to get lost in the feeling of the moment so that they can completely go forward with themselves liberated. The gentle kiss upon ourselves, saying that we tried. We gave it the effort, we gave it the right nudge, and we're cool with it. It becomes similar to reconciliation with ourselves, but it's not resignation. Reconciliation as resignation is never enjoyable because you're just, okay, I'll take it. But when you reconcile in a resolve of yourself, I am this thing, I am this power, it actually makes you even more powerful because you're now living in truth of yourself. That comes from the feminine side of ourselves. That comes from our tenderness, and that comes from our self-appreciation. Let yourself have it in its full form. 1, 2, 3, 4, and Sentence Spirit. Rees, it just says Rees. I don't know if that's a name. If it is, I will read for it. I just need to know for sure. I think we're pretty open right now, actually. Where is Stuart? If you want to take it as a love card, it's going to be hot. It's going to be really well connected because it's that same vibe coming from another person instead. And if that's what happens, that's what happens. I'm not going to complain. The point is to know that you achieve. You are absolutely acknowledged and resolved into appreciation of what you are. And let that flow through in it, in every way and every flow. Reese, let's get you a card. Reese coming up with my favorite in this deck. They took my 13 and they made it an 8. I laugh because 808 is the numerical format of Bob, but that's a different joke for a different day. So Reese, with the death and rebirth cycle, we've all lived it, we've all walked it, we've all experienced it. The constant growing of things just for them to die off. Be it within family, be it within friendships, be it within our connections in culture and society. There is always that need for what was to surrender so that what could be may take its place. When we carefully bring the truth around this, it creates 3 dilemmas for most human beings. 1, it really wakes us up to the nature of our mortality. And that's tough for a lot of people. If you're ever struggling with mortality, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to dig in on it. It is one of those things that I spent way too much time on as a child. And by engaging it directly, by forming my beliefs and my values around it, it allowed me to bring a snake of truth into the moment and mature it so that it could be used. So we acknowledge that we're all going to die. But rebirth is probably a thing too. Because when we look around us, this fallen tree ends up getting mossy. Mossy eats it up and converts it into different energy that bugs then come and eat. Those bugs then get snooped up by a few birds, and those birds feed it to their young. Their young grow up and go and fly off and migrate from one side of the country to the other. Hunter eventually shoots it, kills it, Now that bird's going to be dinner for somebody else's family. Over and over and over. So for life to properly function, it has to cycle into itself. Each death has to lead to some kind of rebirth. This didn't come without some time. It was a while before the moss evolved that could eat the tree. But life pushed it forward. Whatever it is that pushes that concept forward is what is living. Finding that, it's a little weird for some the first time, because it means somewhat detaching from mortal physical flame. By the way, it's 11:11 here in Mountain Time. Happy 11:11, everybody. I digress. It is allowing you to see that you will continue in other ways and other formats. I have no doubt that the body that I have right now will die someday. But I have left behind so much of my nonsense throughout the internet and throughout the different cities and in little books and in little quibbits. I have spun off hundreds and thousands. 111 in Ontario, happy Ontario. I have spun off so many tops in so many directions. And that will be the continuation of what is the concept of Lopik. If I live in Lopik as a perspective, then wherever I go after this, I will be in that ebb and flow, and I will simply be. If not, then what I am will be born in other ways, other effects, and other natures. Comfort with this is a superpower because you no longer value your life over top of all else. You value your life for everything else. And so it allows us to see ourselves as concluded, living as though we're already dead and ready to devote to the next generation. I can name a lot of capitalists that aren't ready for that, because it means hoarding of wealth in the here and now is pointless. And that's disappointing, because it's an easy game to win and feel powerful in. But there is no power in it. The only true power is in life's capacity to continually go through death, rebirth, back and forth. Sometimes it's about letting go of a particular attachment. Sometimes it's about just being comfortable with your lot of things. The truth is in the snake. It's not here to bite, poison, or hurt. It's here to heal. So allow it to do its process. Thanks for coming in and joining the show. If you're just joining us, you can still absolutely throw in for a card. We've got a wide open docket. I'll keep hanging around here until I either burn up into a ball of flame or the lady comes home, probably. We got lots of time. I might have to go refresh my coffee, though, because that is slowly petering away. I am also on Facebook at Lopik Magic House, and the replay will be on YouTube. I think that's Lopik Magic House as well, but don't quote me on that. I put a bunch of my old stuff on my old one, Shin Lopik, and unless you want to see me in eyeliner, I wouldn't look for it. I do private readings. I do bookings of parties, the whole 9 yards. I would rather teach, though. So if you ever want to join me on the teaching side of things, shoot me a message. All of my subs will get invited to teaching moments where we'll go through different telling methods, different spiritual practices, and a whole bunch of other things as well, too, to help you feel more empowered in your spiritual development and spiritual life. The idea being, we each are having a wonderful, unique experience, and I just want to help you guys feel comfortable in developing your perspective to your fullest, whatever that may be. In love and compassion, in kindness and in synchronization, in equality and equity for all. Just here to make it all a better flow. I'm gonna look through a few quick things, nothing important on my screen. Hi, Carol. Let's get you a card. And yeah, just like that, if you give me permission down in the chat box, I will absolutely draw you a card. I will not draw you without permission. And a reader that does draw you without permission is rude. It's rude. Just rude. Wait to hear my opinions on getting paid first, too. Carol, what do we got for Carol Bailey? The Child. I like this card Honestly, it's just so damn cute. And I love that it gets to be the card of the magician in this major arcana. It's the first major arcana card to the Dreams of Gaia. So what we usually see in the first card is recognizing one's ability to manifest, create, control, to shape out the entire universe and expand it to a whole new level in a whole new form. This is divine empowerment, ultimately. And the children get it best because the children get gifted innocence. Innocence at its core, I think, is closer to the language of spirituality than anything else. Hi, Abby, I'll get you on the list. Stick around, you'll be next. So, Carol, innocence is the language that the divine most often speaks because it just wants to understand. It just wants to know. It just wants to experience. And that is innocence at its core. We don't know. We don't know. We've never had this experience before. Let's find out. As the child goes and collects more and more of these moments, eventually opinion and perspective start to take hold, and there is a change from the innocent observer into the active participant. Before that transition, I think it's sacred and it's beautiful and it's wonderful. After that transition, it becomes an unescapable truth. You don't ever get your innocence back like that. It never returns to its fullest form. But you do always remain with the power that came with innocence. The power to explore, the power to learn, the power to accept, the power to see things from a strictly curiosity angle. The ability not to be completely wrapped up, but instead the capacity to simply be in flow with. That is why the child is so critical in each and every one of us. When our inner child dies, we don't have that ability to flow in the same natural state or in the same natural organism. We don't see the world anymore as our mother, and everything becomes torture. And so protecting the child is important for that reason. Once gone, the concept can return. And don't be afraid to let it kind of flow back into you in any way, shape, or form. Do the little things that bring you the light. In this case, it's pointing towards roses in the front, the hummingbird in the middle. There's a whole array that lines up to bringing this child back into your mind and your world. Notice the moon hanging out behind it. Just like the full moon hiding away when it becomes the new moon. It's always there, just sometimes we can't quite see it for the clouds, for the sky, or for any other reason. So no panic and no fear about what you've lost. It's all still right there with you. Of that, I'm just about sure. Love to sign up or participate? Yes, absolutely. I think you followed me on Facebook before. If you haven't yet, track me on Facebook for Charlopic Magic House because I am going to post events on there for the classes. But the subs are most likely going to get Tuesdays on TikToks. Every Tuesday there'll be a show, and those ones are going to be teaching moments on Tuesdays. And then Facebook, I'd like to get back to doing lives on Facebook, but we're having a bit of a struggle with hardware there, and they're not treating me very nicely about it. So, but no, absolutely, we'll get you in on it, and shoot me a message if you'd rather do private. I can do private as well too. Abby M963, let's get you in here for a card. The 963 is kind of neat. Tesla's 3 6s and 9s is what a lot of it seems to kind of flow back into for me whenever I see them. And triplets. Like my major number is 13, and so 3 kind of plays up anyway. M though, I'm trying to remember because HIJK, I think is the 9th, and then J is 1, JKLM. I'll double check this later, but I think numerology number M is 4. 4 or 5. So the M can't be related for a number reason. It's got to be related for something else. I always wonder how it plays in. Abby's card. Let's do one Abby. M963. Abby coming up with the 10. of Earth. She reminds me a lot of the socialite from, I believe that's the Nine of Pentacles or Eight of Pentacles on Rider-Waite, the one that's in the flower garden, engaging with people and kind of working things through. This one takes it almost to the next level, where we see that there's also the addition of a mask in her hand, and a particular, I'd say dragon. We'll go with dragon on the arm. Dragons often come up to represent hidden power, secret power, strong soul, elements of that sort. And so we're taking what is already a very formidable, powerful woman figure and adding on top of it the nature of secret magic power as well. The mask is in position in her hand, not on face. She's not fooling around right now. She's not needing to hide. She's not needing to lay low or keep out of sight. This is a clear indication of a person coming into their form and coming into their power and comfortable with it. The big key to me is the comfort with it. When we are acknowledging ourselves as a new state, new form, taking on a new role, there is some, you don't want to be meek. It's okay to be humble, but you don't want to be meek and you don't want to be small. You have to be willing to show that you are in full capableness of what it is that you've approached. And now is the time to take off the mask and remove anybody's doubts. Demonstrating yourself to your fullest power, fullest potential, and being fully able to conquer the moment and conquer the mood. If you can do so, if you can absolutely do so, then Abby, you are moving straight on into the next major evolution. Good things come in as a result, and you are now on top because you have accepted your position at the top. If the struggle comes in from engaging that, you've mastered yourself. Take it off. Just release it. There's no need for shelter where you are in control. The reds give a strong semblance of being grounded, centered, and balanced out, both in the hair and in the dress. The deer hanging out over the shoulder, it's not running spooked, it's watching. If even the nervous creatures are finding comfort from you, you too can take comfort from you as well. Allow yourself to feel it through fully. I like the flow, I like the energy, and the overall vibe. Step into your power, step into you. Step into stability that comes with power. Step into self-control. No worries, Abby. Amavira. Amavira, we got you next, if that's what I'm seeing here. Which I'm assuming so. I'm assuming so. Stop me now if it's not. We will. Haven't got the finished off sign yet, but possibly another half hour or so. Let's get Amavira next. Amavira, you're coming up with essential. Loyalty, companionship, steadfast dynamics, the supreme form that they say for earth energy in this particular deck. It's a neat idea, honestly, that as you're accumulating through the earth dynamic, you eventually get down to the point that the natural environment is just loyal to you. I believe that is what they're kind of digging in with this particular symbolism, that the steadfast loyalty, provision of assets, protection especially through this loyalty is supposed to be met and received. When dealing with you, directly as the representation in the card, it's phenomenal. It shows your power, your capacity, your strength, your form, that you are ascended to your nature of being the one in the moment. If what you're looking to find or receive or connect with, that can sometimes get a little bit more troubling. The need for loyalty and the need for a dog that doesn't leave the side at all, that's usually an indication of someone doing great harm or malicious act against you. And now you need something that provides that provision of absolute safety and provides that provision of absolute care. Making sure you're very careful with others and yourself helps to make sure that you don't ever get the wrong impression on what a person's intention with. Essential, it is about protection, but they can be overbearing with it. They can sometimes be, I'm going to protect you from yourself if I have to. And that's not really what they're supposed to be about. Christine, I'll get you added onto the list for sure. Thanks so much. I'm humming and hawing slightly, Emma, because I just worry with the undertone and the underlying of it that someone's done some harm. And making sure that you have a loyal partner that does not affect the nervousness, that does not trigger the protective dog, as it were. That is going to be a key element to making sure that this plays through well for the next little bit. So, dig deep, work closely with those that matter best, and don't let somebody else's negativity deny you the opportunity for your own happiness, if possible. Rain comes down, heat turns on, and it gets a little bit heavier in here. Emma, thanks so much for popping on in today. Christine, we're going to get you a card next. Christine's asking about the house purchase. Will it be successful this weekend? Yes and no questions are so fun for readers. I'm going to say yes. Why am I going to say yes? Because when I look at this card, this girl's got the cup in hand, and it looks like she's moving it towards an offering position. She's trying to put it forward. She's trying to put it in front. She's trying to get it out there. It's cups. Sorry, no, it's earth. Earth, which is home. It's a feminine energy form, which is usually home turf, home territory, home design, keeping it sort of that safe spot. So my gut instinct, Christine, is that it's probably a yes. Just make sure that the offer is proper. You don't want to lowball somebody and have them reject it because they feel offended. The tea has to be prepared properly. It's kind of the vibe I get with this gal. Reminds me a little bit the whole tea ceremony setup and making sure that it's all brought to the right heat, brought to the right brew, combined carefully to make sure that it works appropriately. And so in any way, shape, or form that you can ensure that it is receiving that right vibe and right flow, make sure you key in on that as possible. I'm going to take a minute and do a few shares. I might refresh my coffee, grab a quick snack. I do appreciate you all coming on out and joining us here today. I'm going to end up liking my own thing a little bit too, because they tell me that if you get 20,000 likes, good, full price will help. Then the offer is not you. It's just making sure that it's put forward and politely and directly. I got good vibes. Have fun. Let me know. I also really like to know if I'm right or wrong on certain things. So let me know, Christine. I'd love to hear. Anyway, yes, I'm going to do some shares. I'm going to pop some things around the internet. I'm going to spot myself with a few thousand likes. Because I deserve likes too. And I'm now going to grab that snack. I'll be right back. If you are just hanging out, thanks so much for hanging out. Give us a share, invite your friends. I'm sure they can't be weirder than me. And if they're friends with you, they might know that you like weird things. So, you never know. Sometimes it works out. Okay. What else we got here? Right. Hi, Princess Tina. I've sent out some shares. You guys sent out some shares. We got some movement. I get a lot of people that message me, the whole reading dynamic and everything else, and oh, can we talk somewhere else? Because everybody just wants to go and scam you somewhere else, right? I think I'm going to start inviting them. I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea. You could call it a choice. Hi, Bob. I see you, Bob. Princess Tina, if you want a card, all you got to do is give me permission. I'll draw you a card. You just let me know. Choices is an interesting thing. Choices is about recognizing that we are not just a linear path. We are a diverse web and flow and dynamic of different energies and different flows and different originations. Everything moves through us, from us, through us, to us, or any combination thereof. And when we look at it like highways or roads moving around a country, energies moving around a city, we start to realize that a lot of it is simply a transference of things. It's almost like when you're looking at a sand hourglass. It's just transferring from the top to the bottom, or one of those neat little water wheels where the water swashes back and forth, just in transference and just in flow. In those cases, though, there is no choice, except for the one that started the motion. And in a lot of us, it's the same thing. There is no choice until you make one, until you decide what you want your future to look like, until you decide what you want to make your values and beliefs that define your creed. There is just always that nature about making sure that we are working with the development of our flow and the development of our nature. So they make the Fool card in this deck the choice card. And I do think at the core of it, the fact that it comes back to choice to start the whole adventure, I think that's a powerful way to start any major arcana. So let's draw a card here for Princess Tina. Princess Tina. You are coming up with number 11 of the Earth, Heaven and Earth. I take this one a few different ways. There's a Taoist belief that man follows the earth upon which it stands, and the earth follows the heavens that it moves underneath. The heavens move based upon the Tao, and the Tao just kind of does itself. The Tao is itself. With that mindset, we start to realize a variation of that as above, so below kind of bit. And I'm hearing it now delivered as above is below, or in below, or all below. It's not two separate things that follow each other. It is one whole concept that works with each other. And it's almost like what they're reaching for here on this heaven and earth dynamic. We see a depiction of all the beasts, the birds, the plants, the man, all of it rooted together, all of it being the prominent experience of the sphere and the prominent purpose of its placement. We are here as a result of all the things coming together. It is all unified. And when we start to realize our own unification with the natural order of things, we can then start to control and moderate it a little bit better. Another way you could look at it is you become what you associate with. If the local gardening committee is getting into murder and genocide, then that's not the local gardening committee for you. And it's time to get away from those vibes and flows that don't feel natural to you. When we allow our energy to be given to those that don't really have our best interests at heart, it aches us. It tears us down from our best form and gives us something entirely different instead. So make sure that you are defining your flow and your dynamics and your nature based not on the expectations that you would have based on position, but rather on the belief that it all has to work together. It all has to be one singular living organism. Stepping out from our own body and stepping out from our own self that way can be jarring, because it means a lot of it is always coming back to the realization that there's going to be an echo of you. You yourself at some point will fade and something new will take the place. And when you utilize that appropriately to make an echo that can move forward prominently, that's when you start to really get away from being trapped to the mortal fear. Mortal fear keeps us from doing the things that we have to do, because we think that we've got time, we think that we've got freedom, we think we've got opportunity. But the only time that we really have is right now. And so live your complete life now, based on your entire design, not just one need, one desire, or one fear, but based on the very nature of your soul, your heart, and everything in between it. When then the human follows on the earth and becomes as they are and what they are in heaven, they are now indomitable, because no opinion on earth can question what is in the heavens. Have fun with that one. Truth of self, truth of identity, firmness of form, maybe even. But more than anything, it's that liberation to be your natural self. Nobody dictates to you who you are. You decide it based on what the universe and life and everything above has shown you. Engage in it fully. If anybody's in that wants a card, just shoot a request down towards the bottom. Yeah, I've got an open screen right now. The nature of energy and the nature of spiritual development is key. We are all perspectives. Some of us individual and some of us a little bit more collective, but all of us unique. No one perspective is the same as another. And so each of us has to go through the process. No worries at all, princess. Each of us has to go through the process of really defining and understanding what it is that we personally, spiritually believe that we should become. We have to become the evolution of our... Stupid glitch out. We have to become an evolution of ourselves through all space and through all time. And so you will catch people looking for their indication and their flow sometimes from the next person, the next spiritualist. And it's really, really hard to cheat on spiritual homework by looking at the next person and saying, so what answer did you get to values of identity? Because none of it is receivable from anyone else. It's only really receivable from and through you. And so that nature of spiritual development and spiritual growth, it has to be done through unique personal reflection. Hi, Harmon. Yeah, I could do that. Let me flip this back around. Harmon coming in, looking for a question. No. I didn't turn one on unless one's turned on automatically now. I did realize that there was a filter before that I really liked, but now I'm going to go look. Oh, yes, I'm on F2. How could you tell? Harmon, asking about the love life. Let's see what we got going on there. Oh, well, I'm glad I took it off then. I shaved. And I shaved an image. Sort of not. I'll show you. Harmon about the love life. Eight of Cups coming up here. So when I was living in Abbotsford, there was a day that I just went around to everybody. I was so annoying. I was so sorry, everybody, but went around to everybody and said, "What is love?" And the number of times I got responded back to with a little ditty was just absolutely incredible. When this card comes up, and especially in relation to love readings, I have to ask that same question. There's two reasons for that. One, the individual in the center is very much the magnified form, and there's a sense of rising power and manifesting power and maintaining power and just sort of being in that not necessarily conqueror state, but charged state. What is love? Is it the interaction with an individual, or is it the freedom to be in your fullest expression? If looking for that freedom to be in your full self, full form, and just kind of going buck wild, then the energy is there and present. It just has to be acknowledged and engaged to its fullest potential. If it's more about the showiness, the flashiness, and just having those moments of passion, not something long-term and sustainable, then the approach is fine, but the results may not satisfy the particular need. And there has to be some deep thought into the process and into the magic of the person to understand why it is that that particular thing is not quite there. Monogamous or polyamorous, right? The love of the life forever, or the love of the moment today until tomorrow. And when we start to get a sense of how each is going to actually fuel and interact and relate with us, that's when we can start to work with it directly. Now, not knowing if you're in a committed relationship or not makes this all really, really problematic, because could this be potentially a red flag card? Maybe. If you are expecting a certain exclusiveness, then I would be cautious that that exclusiveness is not there. If you're not in a committed relationship and there isn't necessarily a form of love that exists right now, then it's that radiate your true self. If through that radiation you get something that is worth your time and wonderful and great, then fantastic. If you don't, then you just don't waste your time and you wait for the thing that is. And that's where it becomes the discipline. In love, sometimes we get fixated on providing our partner's perfect other, when we just need to be comfortable providing ourselves. If who you are is not satisfactory to the partner and you're faking it to be something else, it will explode in your face in the long run. And so that genuine nature has to play through here as well too. You got to be true to you. You got to be all about your honest impression of yourself and not let it be anything other than you in the full buff, you in the full glow, you in the full radiation. Now I really want to know, committed relationship or not committed relationship? Because that's going to define so much of the direction that we take with this card in relation to love life. And someone could always, go with the fact that it's the Eight of Cups, and Eight of Cups in the Rider Waite is illusions, deceptions, wool being pulled over your eyes. Yeah. This one doesn't play well in that situation. Shit. So Harmon, how long do you wait before you go and be your most absolutely empowered self? How long do you wait before you say, screw this, I'm going home. Pick up your ball and make it all about you? what is worth waiting for? And if it is, I won't stop you. But what is also your limitation of time? I say to some people, if somebody's an asshole to you all during the spring and all during the summer, they're probably going to be an asshole in the fall and the winter too, because they've demonstrated that consistency of habit. In the same way, if someone is leading you on for 3 months straight, unless you do something drastic, there's no reason for them to change in a heartbeat. Why? Why would they bother? So be prepared to apply a certain amount of pressure and a certain amount of truth. Be prepared to push on them a little bit if you want to see something more, unless you are comfortable waiting potentially forever. Sorry, Harmon. Good luck. There are some that are worth it. I won't lie and say that nobody's worth it. There are some that are worth it, but they're few and far between. Arjinder is asking about an exam tomorrow. And then I've got no other requests on board right now, so if anybody else wants to throw in, now is definitely the time. Arjinder asking about an exam tomorrow. Thanks, Princess Tina. Finger hearts. Oh, all the cute little things they got on here. Arjinder. Let's do one more just to confirm. I shuffled all the other ones back in, and that one came up not too long ago, so I want to cover my bases. Make sure that we're good. Yeah, I know it's still a duality card, so when duality cards come up when we're dealing with yeses and nos, what we're dealing with is an absolute situation where you will receive whatever you put into it. If you put tons and tons and tons of effort in, you are going to get tons and tons of rewards back. If you do not put tons and tons of effort in, you are not going to get any reward back. And this isn't to say that the moment isn't important nor relevant. It's to simply say that some moments require our individual push. A lot of spiritualists will get you on this idea of just go with the flow and be in the natural state of things, and life's just trying to flow with you down the river, man. Just have a good time with it. And to a point. To be completely ambivalent to your own potential of free will is to deny your free will and deny your own power. I don't dig that. Free will is sacred and you got to protect it. You got to respect it and you have to use it. And so my encouragement here, Harjinder, is to recognize which aspects of the test that you can cram study and not screw yourself over on, and which aspects you're a lost cause and it's just not worth putting the energy in on it. Do just enough there so that they don't give you a 0. And then for the rest of it, apply discipline, repetition, and keep really keen on doing your best there. Effort will be rewarded, 100%. But it can't be the kind of effort that's detrimental to yourself. Cramming until 3 a.m. for a test at 9 a.m. doesn't help if you need a minimum of 8 hours to function. I can run off of 6. I prefer 7. 8 starts to get to be too many and 9 is too much. And so if I want to do the right discipline for myself, it's 7-hour sleep cycle. That is the sweet spot. Everybody's different. And knowing your own perspective and knowing your own format will allow you to pick the direction that is going to go best for you. And that way, you can use the duality to your advantage and not your disadvantage. It's a good question, Harjinder. I do appreciate a question like that. It's a little bit more easier to manage than some of the others. Anybody else looking for a card today? I've got some time here in an open channel. I would absolutely take any new requests right now. I did get the mention that work is done for everybody else, so they'll be coming home fairly soon. But I still got a little bit of time, so if anybody wants to sneak in here, we're here. I will answer any question that I'm ever given, Harjinder, at least on Thursdays. Thursdays are for free for free tarot service. I don't believe that spirituality should be denied to people, and that belief cost me my job at the Russian Tea Room. Russian tea room, they would occasionally have people coming in spending $300 for 15 minutes. And I just don't believe in that. And so every Thursday, you're always welcome to join me for a free card so that I can make sure that you're getting some amount of support and you can make sure you're feeling connected in some way. Hello there. In physic. I might go with that. Thanks for coming to the show. And spirituality is also a weird concept for a lot because it's not like religion. There is no one answer. There really is no one answer. And with us all being individual perspectives and individual entities, you get stuck on this need or this want to make things absolute, and it doesn't work that way. See, that does look a little off, doesn't it? Now that I'm looking at it. Let's just double check here. Yeah, that's no filter. Figure that one out. So we're all ultimately just here as adventurers trying to figure out our way through this thing called life. And life itself is excessively complex. You have to realize that we are all individual perspectives sharing a common space and a common world, and with no real way of knowing for sure what's going on behind the image on anybody else. It makes for a strong sense of loneliness and isolation. Spiritualists especially, because you may have a concept that you can understand in your own personal language very well, but when you try to express that in its natural state to others, it just goes right over their head. A lot of my early people would regard how I knew really good Nickish. All I would talk in was Nickish. That's just Nick, talking Nickish. Just let him be a Nickism. I was a verb before I was 20. Go figure. And is what it is. When you're entangled with the oddities of reality, you just come out a little bit more rattled. Everybody has that on some level. Somewhere in there is something that has rattled each and every single one of us. Part of my service is to try and pull that out of you guys. To make you realize that the abstract and bizarre is truly and honestly more profound than you initially realized it was. It is in this method that you can start to explore your personal experiences and personal journeys with fresh eyes, reclaiming a little bit of that inner child innocence that you may have once had, and being able to revisit your own experiences and actually process them differently now with fresh eyes and fresh power. This repetition of our memory, I think, is part of the process to refining ourselves fully before bringing it up to divine consciousness. Energy does not disappear, and so I know at some point the energy that creates this consciousness, which currently science cannot locate, is going to go somewhere else. That is afterlife, and I do firmly believe that you will send yourself to a visualization of whatever afterlife you believe you will visualize. Because just like your imagination and just like your dreams, it's just a state of consciousness. It's just a perspective. And if you can allow yourself a consideration of control over your own perspective, better things come for it in the long run. This side's too long. I need to go clean up the side at some point here in the next little bit. But that's another one of my little rants. If you're just joining us, thanks for coming out for TikTok. TikTok Tarot Thursday. If you're fresh to this, I will honor every card request every time. I'm happy to answer questions. I'm really, really big on the whole spiritual discovery thing. I wood burn. I make wands. I pick up a lot of river stones. I am getting tons of quartz and petrified wood out of the North Saskatchewan River because holy crap is it old rocks down there. I'm a traveler. I work in the Yukon Territory, British Columbia, and Alberta, all parts of Canada. Western Canada, although that's not an actual area, that's just what I call it. I'm currently front row seat to insurrection and police state development, but having a cheerful mindset about it as much as possible. And the whole flow here is honestly just to provide a service of education where possible. I do sell wands. The favorite venture is to always, I'll go grab a bunch, I'll be right back. The favorite venture would be to always do custom wands for people. Because custom wand work, then you can make something that is actually for a person, right? And so this is one of my bigger works in process. And I want it to be something unique. And so like you find nooks and areas within it that you can put on stones. You can attach little bits and work it on in. I like working more with candle wax. I need to find a supplier of beeswax. But ways that you can just bring out somebody's ritualistic side in a device that then they're holding. This is more like my standard work. Basic yarn or thread handles. And the imagery that I usually shoot for is akin to lightning bolts and sharp shots. Can also incorporate any other number of forms of symbolism and everything else. Now, basic one like this one might be more like a 40 with the stone and the handle work, but you can get smaller, I call them my dainties, smaller and thinner ones that I would do for like $10, $20. And just about the particular variations and everything else. The more I can talk to somebody before they do get a wand, the more I can make sure that the wand is designed in their format and in their style. Absolutely. General questions are amazing. General energy, you're just giving me permission. And that's my other big thing. Consent. A lot of times, a lot of readers will read you without your consent, and they cherry pick based on what they think is going to pay them the best. I honestly think I should always have your consent before I read you. I don't like reading people that I don't have the consent of, and I can't cherry pick. Doesn't seem right. In physics, I got you coming up with the Five of Earth. Five of Earth can be a mixed blessing card. There is help, there is support, there is capability here, but where is it coming from? Some people go chasing after power because they want to feel powerful, but in the pursuit of power, they end up becoming a bit of a shadow of themselves, getting lost in the power of the Ace of Spades maybe, and putting themselves somewhere that they weren't supposed to be. The truth is, unless you're careful and really being aware of what's in your own hands, you really can't play a game with anybody else. We each have gifts, we each have talents, we each have qualities. And where possible, you want to make sure that you're working with the qualities that you exhibit best. You can add new skills, you can get trained and developed and grow yourself in new ways. This is one of the powers of being a human being, a soul with the capacity to create change. And so if you let yourself go forward into the nature of evolution and develop the skills that will get you through, better comes. However, you have to keep your hands on the controls in that matter. You have to be the one making sure that it's you playing with the energy form right there in your hand and not letting somebody else dictate the card play for you. This is the secret, ultimately, to free will. When you apply your free will, you are manifesting action, devotion, and forcing it in a direction. The more resolved you are, the more expressed it comes out. And almost every ritual, spiritual practice is based on that concept on some level. Find the core of you and manifest very much from the root. Manifest very much your own magic from the very root of who you are. That is where you will find your purest energy in your purest form. I believe you to be more in line with this energy and not the shadow in the background. The shadow would be asking specific questions. This one in front is just trying to figure out how to play the game. And you play the game first by looking at the cards and saying, what does this mean? A person with a gift for healing, that means there's a lot of pain somewhere in there. We might not necessarily address that pain directly, but we can at least acknowledge that healing comes from pain. Strength also comes from pain. The ability to endure suffering creates a strength that can then create revolution and change and transformation. when we can start to follow the bits of the gifts through the game and how they're applied, then we become a participant and nothing else can ever challenge us again. Good luck with the evolution, transformation, metamorphosis. Jacqueline has popped in, is asking about Anthony coming back. Can definitely work that in. Jacqueline. Thing with questions about other people. Let's always remember that when you're dealing with other people's energies and other people's willpower, they get to dictate a shift and a change that you might not be able to control. So let's take a quick look-see here. What if I told you that Spirit wouldn't let him come back? What if I said to you that for whatever reason, the cat in front of the Queen of Fire is rejecting the approach of a person that does not belong there? See, the Queen of Fire often is related towards having deep spiritual power and deep spiritual gift. And with it comes a certain amount. No worries. I teach. Information is usually free. Unless we're actually focusing on something that I can structure as a class, it's free. Hit me up. I am always happy to help out, and hit me with questions anytime. Always want to make sure you guys have someone to turn to. Back to you, Jacqueline. If your soul is going to reject this individual, then he will never be allowed back, is the long and the short of it here. The Queen of Fire, self-expression, demands that people meet at her level, and if they're not going to meet her level, her spirit is going to drive them away. And it may not be as mystical as bad dreams and feelings of needles going into their spine. It could be just as easy as they find you an unrelenting curse word here or an overbearing curse word there. And their perception of you becomes their inability to connect with you. I've known a lot of people that have been what I would call difficult. In past, I would call them obstinate, useless, worthless, or any other number of things. By doing so, I create a balance of I am more powerful than them because they're obviously less worth than me. And that's not appropriate. And that's not what this is. What this is I'm quirky as all living heck. And these people that can't put up with that quirkiness just can't keep up. Simple, easy. There's no need for any of the bullying, any of the negativity, or any of the harsh tactic. So with that in mind, Jacqueline, they may just not be able to meet up to your level and meet up to your form, and that just is what it is. Stick around, Patricia, I'll get you in next. Jacqueline, the cat in front of you is saying that this is enough. If you cannot be right for my master, then you will not be right here in this place. The rejection is coming from you without even realizing it. And don't turn that off. Don't change that. If you were to change yourself and no longer be of that form and be of that state, then you're just going to end up losing him in a different way. Thanks so much for coming in and asking a question. Next up, we've got Patricia asking about hubby. Are you guys separated? The way you're phrasing that, it sounds like you're already separated. And the nature of husbands and wives is a different vibe as well too. So why the fear of the question then? Do you think it's the question then, do you think that he will leave you? Or do you worry that he will leave you? Is he going to leave you? Getting more in that vein. The phrasing of the question is specific. Like if you're not... Okay. The nature of the question is important. Asking if a hubby will live without you. It sounds as though it's phrasing it in a way that it's already happened. And I really, really want it to be sure. I'm not thrilled with him, but I don't, like, it's hard when you get cards with pictures. I ended up with two. I will show you the second card after because the picture will cause you panic. The picture will cause you panic. We had commented earlier about this card here being a defensive card. Someone making sure that they're looking after their fruits and looking after their earnings and looking after their keep because they don't want to have anything taken away from them at this point, and needing to be somewhat in the defensive posture to make sure that things aren't poorly used or aren't robbed. The scythe is a tool for collection, but it seems almost like he's got it in a protective stance point here. But the horns aren't really about goring unless somebody gets in the way or causes havoc. You guys aren't communicating, I don't think. Not quite right, would be my gut instinct on it. Expression in between is lacking. Somewhere in there the language has changed, or the goals have changed, or it tastes kind of like bitterness, but it's not. It's resentment rooted, but it's not resentment itself yet. It's frustration, it's hesitation, it's... What else would I feel on that? Like the guy's struggling with himself at the core of it. And that's why he's doing stupid things and chatting in places that he shouldn't be chatting and testing the lines and testing the waters. Because I think on some level, he's feeling either taken advantage from or that he needs to move to the next safe place. That's the first card that kind of jumped on this. Now, the second card. Don't panic. Yes, it's a naked woman. Don't panic. The idea here is integrity and strength of character, doing what you're truly meant to do. If he is a truly good, committed person, and your friend also is a good and committed friend, they're both going to not do the thing because doing the thing is wrong. You guys are not polyamorous. You guys are not in an open marriage. This isn't the appropriate way for things to go. So integrity should win out in the long run here, Patricia, and you should see things at least smooth out. But it's also integrity of the person. If the person is at their core a playboy who likes to run around, sleaze around, and go around, then to be their integral self is to be that playboy. And I'm not reading his energy. I'm reading your perception around his energy. So you may have to work through some of your fears and some of your doubts and some of your anxieties on this. If you know that he's talking to the friend, then, and you've got good rapport on the friend, then don't hesitate to reach out and say, I'm just curious. Is there something I should know? Talk to him directly too. What is it that is causing him to, or you both, to get into that defensive posture and feel like there's a need to have to do harm, hurt, or push back on one another? Get control on that vibe, and things will start to proceed a little bit better as a result afterwards. Good luck. That could be a little bit of a topsy-turvy one, but I'm sure that you will find some means of communication on it to keep it kind of moving in the right way. And if it's not moving the right way, you'll know fairly quick, because comes a point where people just want to be honest. So just joining the show, we do have open space now. Feel free to throw in a request. Otherwise, it's 12:10, so we're just hitting people's lunches right now. But we might close it up in 5 or so minutes if we don't see too much more chaos going on. I am on Facebook as well too, under Lopic Magic House. You can always feel free to come join me on there and see what life is all about. And all requests during these shows are always honored. And afterwards, the show is put up on YouTube so that people can kind of pop back through, review things, and check things out. Subs are now available on this channel, and all subs will be invited to Tuesday training days, where we start exploring more in detail what the tarot cards are all about, trying to give you guys a little bit of a leg up on reading cards for yourselves and empowering you to kind of get a sense of the energies and movement of what's happening around you in the world. And that's what we do at Lopic Magic House. We just try to make it so that the magic of the world is accessible to you in any way, any shape, any form. Sanu and Pradeep. I am hoping that I have consent from both of these people directly, that you guys might be listening together. That would be kind of cool. Let's go Sanu. Sanu. Sanu coming up with the Queen of Water. Deep emotional reservoir, but also deep gift. Typically when I see this one come up, it's someone that's dealing with the nature of emotions itself. The problem with emotions is that they are very much a large, powerful vessel of water. Water on its own doesn't really worry what it's in, it just sort of fills the space. But then as that space moves and as that space is affected, the water itself is affected. And so if you fill it up very, very full and then shake it around a little bit, you're going to end up spilling over the sides and having little issues come up here and there. That's just the nature of water. It spills if it's moved inappropriately. The Queen of Water has deep emotional connection, deep spiritual gift, and with it comes that strong sense of water in great abundance. As such, they may find too much too fast to be overwhelming and leave them in a state that they don't feel like they're their full self anymore. Too much water spills out and they become unhappy, despondent, or even withdrawn from their relationship because they feel that the relationship is turning toxic on them. So the general vibe there, just making sure that you're respectful of the form, respectful of the nature, doing what you can to ensure that it's protected cups. In the Rider Way, her cup is covered. She controls the accessibility in that imagery. In this one, they go more the sign of the crab, the defensive posture of the crab. Unless you're really going to force upon it, you're not going to break through. And I do like that element of protectiveness shining through with this card. It is meant for guarded emotions. It is meant for protected emotions because the intensity of those emotions can be so much that they may overwhelm and destroy another person. It has to be in the nature of moderation, stability, safety, balance. So that would be one for Sanu. Pradeep. Pradeep coming up with the Three of Cups. And then we'll probably call it after this one. The nature of the Three of Cups is usually about finding right comfort, right support, right care, and being within the company of the people that give us a sense of connectivity. Specifically, the three fishies. Seeing ourselves in our right school of people, of thoughts, of energy and flow, and trying as best as we can to make sure that we're working with the flows of these people around us, not against. So we start to see sort of this balance between the two cards. With the Queen of Cups, it's needing to be respected for the flow and energy, allowed the expression and allowed the exuberance. And then with this one, we work it into being accommodating, needing to work on their level, at their form, at their nature. Assuming these two individuals are connected, the key element seems to come back from respect of each other's emotional state, allowing each other room to express, room to be, room to ultimately develop themselves and just be of harmony. Wherever possible, don't make it a matter of bullying, attack, or invasion, and let's try to allow each their opportunity to grow and develop in best process for themselves. Cool. And I'm going to call it there. It's been 1 week since you looked at me. Wrong song. It's been a little bit though. So I'm going to call it quits and log this one off and get it uploaded onto YouTube. It will take me a little bit 'cause it's a couple hours long this time around, but is what it is. And if you missed your reading, then, well, poke on through. See if you can find it once it's up on YouTube. Thank you very much all for joining and the extra support and everything else here today. If you would like to book a private reading with me, that is available either through direct message here, or you can find me on Facebook at Lopic Magic House. And wherever you go, wherever you are, stay safe, stay well, and goodbye for now.